What's up, my friend? We're going to dive into something really awesome. It's going to help your business a ton online. It's going to get you a lot more results with the same efforts as soon as you start applying this. And so what we're going to discuss is around the perfect ideal avatar or your perfect client, and a really cool way to start. I'm going to give you a whole framework and some really some things you can put to work immediately, that you just put a little bit of work into this and you can immediately start getting better results in your marketing efforts. And the reason this works is because when I first started marketing back in 2006, I thought the whole world, there's 7 billion people or however, I don't know how many were around back then, but there's billions of people in the world and all of them are potentials to sign up for, to join my teams and be my clients and things. And one of my biggest lessons around this, it actually started in December 2008. I launched this opportunity it was really low end. It was free to join for 7 days, and then it only cost $10 per month for the service. And what happened over that next couple years, it was a year and a half or so, that was my full-time focus. Now that turned into incredible income, because we put tens of thousands. Today there's over 100,000 customers that are within that business. But I learned some really, really important lessons to where I haven't even looked at that business since. And here's what they are, and I want to share them. And it's all about customer avatars. And what happened was, I was on the phone, literally, I documented well over 1,000 coaching calls with people. So a new client would join, they haven't paid any money yet, they just committed to a 7-day free trial. So they entered either their credit card number, which may have been fake, or a PayPal address, which may have no money in it. And at the end of the 7 days, they were going to be charged $10. So I was on the phone with well over 1,000 people in that situation. And what happened was, this is crazy, I'd come out of a sales background in 2006, background, a little short background, a year or two. And so I was willing to pick up, and I was willing to be on the phone all the time, or actually more because I had I didn't have a headset this cool back then, but it was all done on headsets. So I was on the phone all day long, and getting super burnt out, because I can't tell you how many people I talked to that they just filed bankruptcy. They were complaining that $10 a month is too much. And there's so many, I don't want to just go on this bash fest, but here's what happened. I literally would not pick up the phone anymore around 2010. And it actually drove me to master marketing at an even deeper level, because my brain was telling me talking with people was painful. You don't have to have the same experience, because that's not what I believe now. But it literally took me years upon years upon years before I was willing to initiate conversations more and get on Zoom calls now. And I definitely make people work to get a hold of me now. They have to be qualified. I definitely do not talk to people that are at that kind of situation. They're dude, I charge $300 to $500 an hour for my time. So somebody's going to pay that before we even get on the call ever. Most times, not always, but I'm just giving you a feel, someone who didn't pay anything and they're about to pay $10, they're not even I'd be willing to get on the phone if they show certain signs, or later on they're showing certain characteristics that they deserve the time or have earned it. And it's not that I'm on some pedestal and they're down in a pit. It's not like that at all. It's that I only have 24 hours in a day, just like you do. And more importantly, I only have so much emotional energy and capacity, and so much where I have chills, trying to find, it's such a powerful lesson. It's where all these chills are coming from. You have to protect your emotions, your time, your brain, just as much as you protect your family or anything else in your life. And so here's how you do that is exactly what we're going to go into today. And I didn't mean like such a long intro to this, but what happened was I finally did get more open to picking up the phone and stuff, but I went through a period of years where I wouldn't even talk to like some of my closest friends, and I wasn't even aware, I wasn't consciously aware this happened. It was like 2 years, a year and a half of talking to thousands of people and talking to hundreds of them. $10 is too much. Oh, is this a scam? Like it's literally the people with a horrible attitude that in today's age, I don't associate, I don't allow those people into my space. They can still be clients and stuff. I just don't ever hear from them. They're handled by systems and processes and other companies and stuff like that. And again, it's not that I'm better than them or that they're better than me. We're all equal. And I'm not going to go into that whole speech about pits and pedestals and all that stuff. But what this is me selecting, you are the average of the 5 closest people in your life. So you need to look around and be like, if you're talking all day long to customers and clients that are like dragging you down and they're pulling you down to a place or somewhere you don't want to go as opposed to like the direction you do want to move in, you need to try to surround yourself by inspirational and motivational people who know more than you, who can teach you stuff, who have a good attitude, that believe in you, and they know you have gifts inside that you need to bring out to the world. That's who you need to be around with. And the more you can be surrounded by material like that and learning things like I'm about to teach you, the more you're pouring into your brain, into your heart, and the more you amplify and you can pour out even more positive ripple impact out in the world. So that's why this is important. And I wish I could have done all that in like a minute or two. But it's important that you understand, like, if you don't do this, I now know the reason why I was willing to go through all that and explain all that to you is because if that doesn't tell you how important, guys, I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars from not picking up the phone for years. Hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million plus. And that is not an exaggeration. If you look at the income I've made and you look at the opportunities I missed out on because I wouldn't get on the phone more, you know those are legit, especially those of you that have known me for any amount of time. You know these are real numbers. And whether your numbers are thousands or hundreds of thousands or tens or hundreds of millions, this is going to unlock so much for you. Now it probably looks like a target. Here, I'm right in the target now because I'm taking so long to get to the point for you. That you have to understand this is critical for your business. And the times I've done this in my life, almost assured success. And I say almost because I didn't always follow through on certain projects, but I can tell you every time I've done this, even if I hit like a roadblock in a project, but I persisted, this is the reason why I ended up winning faster and more easy with less effort because of this stuff. So we're going to go into it. So your avatar is really, I want you, before we get into this like framework here, I want you to imagine the person that you really want to be working with all the time. Your customer, your client, your teammate. You're in one of my programs, we call our new members initiates. They're not like a downline. They're not even like, and I think team members are a really cool word that I like. It's a level up above. So customer is kind of a lower tier kind of a term. Client is someone a little more esteemed. Teammate in my mind, in my heart, is even bigger than that. And initiate is right up there. So your teammates, your initiates, these people that you want to be working with more often than not, who are they? And if you're brand new to this kind of stuff, and if you're not, you're going to get a ton out of what I'm about to share if you're like a more experienced marketer. But right before we get to that part, for those of you that this is like a brand new concept for you, here's the deal. It's still taking me. I'm 43 now. I'm still learning this lesson. I've been learning it since 2010, hardcore. So solid 8 years now, as of this, almost exactly 8 years actually, as of this video. And not all people in the world are going to like you. Some people are going to freaking love you. Some people are going to freaking hate you. Some people are going to like you. Some people are going to tolerate you. Some people are going to just like, you're too long-winded. Like there's already people not watching this video because I took too long to get to the point, but they're missing the other value that's hidden within this, because I'm actually teaching like 5 or 6 interwoven topics all throughout this. And that's how it gets into your unconscious mind. And so wherever it is, if you're still here with me right now, you are somebody that we're connected, like energetically, our hearts, our minds were connected more. And so what happened was, I may have pissed off some people taking so long to get to the whiteboard here, which we're like a minute away or so. But those people, they just weren't meant for this lesson at this time. There's someone else that's going to get like straight to it. There's the deal. They just want straight to the facts. They don't want anything else. And really, they don't really want much of a relationship either. They don't value the additional teachings and things that I've been pouring into here, which is totally fine. But the Jason from a decade ago, he was like super, oh my God, do they like me? Because I used to run around most of my life. I became aware of this in 2010. Do they like me? And I'll do it like this. Do they like me? And I'm pointing right to you. Because here's what I've grown to. Building teams of hundreds of thousands of people and going through all the things I've built in online business and even offline, brick and mortar business and everything else. That it's really come down to my greatest lesson for me personally. Some of you don't have any problems with this. A lot of you do, because you probably have a similar set of values of me. You deeply care about other people. You work hard. You're very teachable. That's literally me. So who am I talking to right now? Someone who shares my same values. I was going to say a mirror of me, but that's not true. We all have our unique gifts, and you have special things that I don't have, and vice versa. And we share a lot of things, but values, a lot of our values are aligned, and that's why we're here together right now. And you just have to realize there are tons of people in the world that are not going to have your same values. They're going to be people with a different religious or spiritual belief that literally they'll be so disgusted by whatever you believe. They're the complete opposite direction. They'll never cross paths with you again. And if they do, they want to make sure they're armed because they feel very threatened by you. I mean that dead, like serious as a heart attack. I couldn't think of the word there. I don't ever say that. It's funny. So that's why you have to be really good at this. And you actually don't have to be good at this. You have to take this seriously. Now, the easiest way to get started is talk to yourself. I just basically proved like you and I share a lot of values. That's really what's at the heart of all this. We share certain values, and that's why we're here together and why you're about to learn this stuff. And you're going to see pieces of that on the board here. And so what I'd recommend to you, get someone in mind that you want to be around all the time, that you can totally relate to. You understand. You're going to have to understand them when you see what we're going to put in each of these quadrants and how this thing works. And as you're doing that, the very, 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 very easiest way is for you to start. And I know we've been going, I think, about 15 minutes now. So now we're cranking to the whiteboard. So, and let me see, I want to see if I have a timer on my camera. I swear I did. I guess not. I must not have it on there. So go find people who are just like yourself, similar age, all that kind of stuff. Now, this is not going into demographics. Which you need to do that too. Demographics are age, where do they live, what are their, how much income, are they married or not, do they have children, do they have parents around, do they come from a divorced family, are they divorced, like all that is just demographics. Those are just numbers, like it's kind of like your social security number, some number just assigned to you. It's just a set of things that describe things about you. Like I live in a neighborhood that we have homes ranging between about $800,000 and like $4 million. And so this neighborhood, the demographics of it is targeted for certain things because people here afford like $1 to $2 to $4 million homes. So we're targeted because there's certain demographics here. But values-wise, there's some totally different belief systems of values and all kinds of stuff, even within this demographic. But there are a lot of things in common too. So we're not going to talk about demographics. Look at your demographics. or at least where you're going in the very near future, not yourself 5 years down the road when you're making 10 or 100 times as much and your life's way better. That avatar, unless you're damn good with understanding human psychology and what makes us do the things we do, they're going to be very, very hard for you to relate to, so you won't be able to go through this. So start with yourself as you're going through these things, okay? Now, enough build up to this. So the very first thing here is understanding that there's moving away from values, which are on this side of the whiteboard. And so everything on that side, this is going to be things that people move away from. Everything on this side is going to be things people want to move towards, because the two biggest factors of what makes all of us humans do what we do ever is that we are wired to avoid pain and to gain pleasure. And 97% of all of us are more wired to avoid pain than to gain pleasure, because it's deep in our unconscious minds. When the bush rattled around thousands of years ago, we either thought we're out there hunting, we're going to get dinner for our family, which is the pleasure side, dinner for the family. But the bigger side is like, there might be a lion in the bush and I'm going to be their dinner. And because of that, those of us that have survived evolution, like you and I, why is 97% of the world more wired over here? Because we freaking thought there might be a lion there. We didn't just blindly dive into the bush to get the dinner and then get, because we got killed. If you got killed, you're not here. Your genes died, your ancestry died. So basically, that is like, it's how evolution works. The people who didn't protect themselves as much died. So who's left? 97% of the world's more wired to still avoid the lion in the bush. Here's the freaking problem. There's no bushes here. There's no freaking lions. There's very, very little danger because how we've advanced as humans. But the bigger problem, it's not a bigger problem, the issue is that our brain, evolution in humans, does not work as fast as we've advanced with our technology and our lifestyles. So that we're living in a way safer world overall, but we're still freaked out of the lion in the bushes. That's why this happens. I have a whole video on that, by the way, but that's a different topic. So that's literally how this thing is divided in those two directions by. And so the next part here, the top and the bottom, and guys, we're going to break down each of them too. So the top part, the top half here are things we're concerned about now. The bottom half are things we're worried about in the future. So right now, what are the things we're avoiding that we're moving away from right now? That's this quadrant. The things that we're going to be worried about, that we're going to be like moving away from, but it's in the future. We know we need to avoid it, but it's that direction we're not worried immediately. Immediate, in the future, moving away from, avoiding pain. And it's the opposite over here. These are the things down the road that we really, really want to get. This is what I talked about, adding the 0 or 100xing your income. Right here in the right now moving towards is like, I need to get out of this job right now. I need to understand ads better. I need to understand creating my perfect avatar so my ads convert better immediately as soon as I start applying this and talking to my avatar. So that's why we're doing this. So the very first thing here, this is pains and frustrations. Pains and frustrations. And just bear with me 1 second, please, guys. Caleb, can you ask them to stop yelling so I'm shooting a video, please? Cool. That's the fun. It actually, I don't know if you guys can hear that. The mic is somewhere. It's right here. You hear it tapping. I don't know if you can hear one of my older two kids yelling up there, but I can, and it's super distracting for me. So that was actually for me. So pains and frustrations go up here. So these would be, what are they dealing with right now that they're frustrated with? That I missed my kids' school activity. What else are my pains and frustration? I am spending 60 hours a week away from my family and my hobbies. I'm losing 60 hours per week. Here's a great one right now is that, guys, these aren't mine. I'm giving totally random examples. Like mine aren't going to make a lot of sense because I've been doing this 12 years. I'm that guy down the road. I have a whole new set of all this stuff. This stuff never goes away for any of us, by the way. So I'm sharing things that you can very likely relate to because you've either been there in the recent past or you're there right now. Or you know somebody that's been there in the recent past or is there right now. That's why we're sticking to these things. I don't miss my kids' school activities, but that's because I've mastered this kind of stuff and I've gone that direction, which is the same direction you're going with me, because now that we're locked arms, you're plugging in this video, you're learning this stuff, everything's getting better and better for you. So what are our other pains and frustrations here's a great one. So, and let me write this down because I just did something in my mind and I want to call that out so you understand how, if I wasn't talking, I can just rattle stuff off. I can't write and talk at the same time. My brain currently isn't very good at that, and it hasn't been good at that for about 10 years. I'm better now than I used to be, but it still really interrupts my thought patterns. So here's what I want to write down real quick, a couple notes that we're going to put over here in red, and what they are. If you've been around my work for a while, you've probably heard me talk about these different categories, but we're going to go into like finances, biz. We're going to go into family. We're going to go into health, nutrition. And let's do spirituality. And that could be church, religion, meditation, all that stuff. So here's why, and I'm not going into what guys like, here's why I wrote those categories. Those 4 categories span the vast majority of our human experience. And in fact, the way my mind thinks of them, these literally span the whole experience. And sometimes I'll combine some of those together as well. But in my mind, there's like 3 main areas. It's basically relationships, and that's people, loved ones, including mine, your relationship. There's business, finances, that's like super simple to understand, and wealth and all that. And then there's health and nutrition. And spirituality actually, like to keep it simple, like meditation, all that stuff, it actually it can fit in my buckets into health and nutrition, even though I measure those things differently. And it doesn't matter. I'm not even going into all this. There's different categories to get you thinking of what are their current pains and frustrations. Now, here's the person I'm thinking of. They make like $50,000 to $60,000 a year. They're working in a corporate job. They work 50 to 60 hours a week. Maybe that like matches their annual income. And then they also have to commute. So they're out of the house like 60-ish hours per week. That's the person I'm thinking of. And by the way, you want to name them. I'll just steal from Frank Kern when I was first learning some of this way back in the day. He just called his guy Bob. So who we're describing here is, we're going to call our guy Bob. And guy, this will be a guy in this instance. So here's a hint of where we're going with all these things. And I'm going to speed this up a little faster because it's your job to do this work for your person. But what happens is when I apply the perfect avatar, and then pretend this isn't a video that I'm teaching you about avatars, pretend it's a video that I'm running on Facebook and I'm directly talking to my Bob. So I've done all this work for whoever I'm going to be talking to, and I'm literally looking right here, right at you. Your name in my mind is Bob. Now, I wouldn't actually say a name because it may be Robert. It might be any other name, but I'm talking to a male around their late 30s. They make 50 to 60K a year. Like, this is the person. That's not who I typically go after, or not in all those traits, but I'm sharing this with you. Like, That's literally all I'm talking to. I'm not talking to a stay-at-home mom or a working mom that has a couple kids, and like I'm not even addressing her in this because this avatar is this Bob guy. It's not the whichever female avatar that I would want to target as well. So realize you're talking to one exact person. You don't say their name, and you don't even talk about the specifics of, I know one of your biggest fears is blah, blah, blah. You talk about these generalities like, dude, you ever had those times when like you're working so many hours and one day you just pick your head up and you realize like, holy crap, I can't remember if I told my kids or my wife I love them before I left this morning because I was so busy worried about this meeting here at work. I don't know if I'm even, oh my gosh, is this little Jimmy's school play? Is that today? Am I going to miss that? Don't those thoughts suck because I'm stuck behind this cubicle all day long? That's what I'm talking about. That would be literally like lines I would share in a video talking to this kind of a avatar. So when you're going through their current, remember we're in the now, the current pains and frustrations, I'm thinking about their finances, their business, their family, their health, their maintenance. So I wanted to share that with you because their finances, what can't they afford right now is that I have a perfect one. I'm going to steal this from the gal I get my haircut from. So she got pregnant and their baby was on the way and they had a cruise booked and they'd already paid down payment and everything. But they didn't make enough money because she had to take off some work to have the baby. Then their household income wasn't where it normally was. They literally had to cancel their family trip, and they actually canceled it before the baby was even due. And so they didn't want to, but the reason was financial, canceled trip. Now that was the gal that cuts my hair, right? But maybe her husband is freaking Bob. And now Bob, is the one with all the guilt because he doesn't make enough and his wife still has to be working at the haircutting place, and now they couldn't go because she had to take a little bit of time off. And Bob's beating himself up. That's who I'm talking to here. Does that make sense? I'm just grabbing examples like in my normal life and what I know about this Bob guy we're creating. So what are their other, so over here, guys, and I'm going to start moving faster for real. Goals and desires. So this is right now, what are they moving towards, but right now. Goals and desires are, I want to make another 3,000 extra per month, like literally in the next 30, 60, 90 days. So 3K per month. So there's a financial one. Family, I want to take my family on the trip because I feel bad about the last one we didn't go on. Next trip booked. Hey guys, I'm going to write like super sloppy here because then I can get through this faster and give you all it doesn't matter if you can read this. I'm saying it out loud. Write it down on your own end. Health one. This is actually, and we could have done this over here as well. I can't afford the supplements and the protein powder and all the stuff I really want to buy because the really good stuff, it's outside of our current family budget. So that's both a pain, can't get their supplements, so his health is struggling. Supplements, and also it is my goal. Notice how it's like kind of falling on both sides there. Spirituality, I don't have time for the meditation practice that I really want. I can barely squeeze in 5 or 10 minutes each morning. So meditation practice is something I really want. Okay, now we're going to go into fears and implications right here, which are things they are moving away from. These are painful things. And they're also things down the road. These are our fears down the future. So for example, little Jimmy's college tuition or his business fund. College money. What else down the road is, what about bigger things? If we continue this lifestyle, not being able to afford the food we really want, what's going to happen to our health. So like health concerns, long-term health issues. So you get the point. You go through the categories, think of some different things. And guys, the more you make these, I'm staring at a list right here I made of an avatar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is like 5 to 8 to 9 individual items under every single one of these. So I have about 30 or so things where I'm just giving you like 3 or 4 in each one here. So you want to like go deep. The more you know about Bob or whoever your person and give them a name, and you're picturing their age, you're picturing what they look like and everything, that's who you're talking to. The last one here is what they're moving towards here, but also it's not immediate. And this is dreams, dreams and aspirations. So these things, this is the bigger stuff. This is like, I really want to get in to that $25,000 mastermind. I want to take my family on like a cruise, a whole month-long cruise of like all of Europe or something like that. Month cruise. I want to have a home for all seasons. So like here in Colorado, when it starts getting cold, I want to have like our summer home we go to, or our winter home, actually is what I should have said. But maybe it's a summer home because maybe it's down in Australia or New Zealand. So down there it's summer when it's winter here. So home for 4 seasons. These would be things like I want to go train with like Dalai Lama. I want to go study under Tony Robbins. I want to be in Tony Robbins. That's a really good one here. Kind of like the mastermind thing. I want to be in Tony Robbins Platinum Mastermind, which is $65,000 per year. So it's like, it's $5,000 per month, and up front is like some chunk of that too. And then it's $5,000 a month to get in as high as things. Stuff like that. So these are things not in the next quarter, not in the next month or two, probably not even in the next year, but down in the future. And guys, guess what? It can be in the next year, but you have to apply the kind of things we're going through. So that's enough, like you understand a good chunk of how these things all fit together. When you have this, now you get these things in mind, and then every story you share in your videos and every teaching and training, you're addressing Bob here. And show your stories, did I say show? So your stories relate to exactly their pains and frustration, their goals and desires, their fears and implications, their dreams and aspirations. And when you do that, what happens on their end, so on your end of the camera, pretend like I was doing that this whole time. And I do to a certain degree, but I don't go in depth with this because I have a good feel for people who consume my content. So, and some of this does relate to many of you watching this right now, and some of it doesn't. And so you get these things in your present mind, and then when you're doing your videos, even if they're 2 or 3 minutes long, that you're literally going after 1 or 2 of these things. And so the customer experience on the other end of the camera, they feel like you're talking directly to them. Why? Because you are. And what happens to the other people, they're like the ones early in the video that like, oh my God, I can't believe Jason just spent X number of minutes teaching this stuff. I could have went and learned this in 10 minutes from somebody else. Dude, that person's gone because that person is not Bob, and it's Joe Blow, and Joe Blow is designed to better fit with another teacher, and it's none of my business. I'm not offended by that. I'm not like happy by that. I'm indifferent to it. I just know it's part of how life works, that at this point in time, Joe Blow and I aren't the right connections for each other, and that's totally cool. Somebody is out there for the right connection for exactly the way he wants to learn and how. And so anyway, it also takes pressure off of you for like having to feel like you're some perfect person. Can you always communicate better and learn more and more techniques over time? 100% yes. You can completely learn to transform the way you communicate, to keep people's attention and a wider spectrum of people to keep their attention for a longer amount of time. That gives you more influence and more impact. And so you always want to develop your communication skills, but you're never going to develop them where the whole room is always going to love you. So you might be on stage teaching people, and in any given moment, there's going to be some people that are not liking the way or what you're saying, or they don't like what you dress like, or whatever it is. And so, but then you have to realize to balance that out, there are also people who have the exact opposite energy. They love exactly how you said it, exactly what you're doing. And by the way, those people can flip-flop in any given second. And so you have to let that stuff go of like, do they like me? I walked around for the first 3 decades and beyond of my life, 3.5 decades. Do they like me? Do they like me? Do they like me? Do they like me? And because I was asking that was my primary question my brain hunted for. Here's what it was really doing. If they don't like me, I associated that to a lion behind a bush, and it was painful to me. And so now, do they like me? It's not even on the board here. It's just a part of how things work. It's not on the board. I mean, it's not an away value. It's not a towards value. How can I make a bigger impact in even more people's lives? That absolutely is this direction. What's on this side for me is getting to my grave and not leaving as big of an impact as I could have because I was playing half-ass. Because I didn't pour my heart into everything I did. Because I did short, tiny little videos that like just got straight to the point, but didn't get people's emotions involved, so they never actually learned the freaking material. And it didn't get into their unconscious mind, it didn't get into their heart, so they never learned it. So then they didn't go out and try to do this for their first time, and then go have a huge success with it. And this is how I'm gonna end this video, is share with you the very first time I did this. This is hilarious. It was that same company I talked about that I don't promote anymore. So this was back in 2009-ish. And free to join, $10 per month. I identified somebody who would be looking to join this company that's going to be teachable and ambitious, and they already understand some marketing things. They're willing to get out there. They're willing to pick up the phone. They're willing to like get way out of their comfort zone and make things happen because this company looks awesome to them. I got that person in my mind, and I did all of this for that exact person, and here's what happened. I didn't get a flood of tons of people in. I got an average of about one person every month for the next like 18 months or something like that. And the vast majority of them ended up duplicating and being leaders within my team. So I was no longer enrolling. By the way, in that company, I enrolled over 800 people personally. And so this wasn't just like blanket enrolling tons and tons of people. This was like these people were coming to me that had great leadership potential. Why did they do that? Because I freaking sat down to do this. Now, what I should have done was keep doing this process for like 10 different avatars, and they don't have to all be leaders like that. So I'm hitting a huge part of the market. And by the way, the reason why it just slowed down after like 18 months or so, because the whole strategy is based on SEO. So the keywords I built in, this was even down to like the keywords. What are they going to be searching in Google so that they're going to find my stuff and really love that there's a really good chance they're going to want to join me in this company. Join me and be in this company together. And it literally is like a person every month on average for well over a year. And it was amazing how this worked. And I remember the first time I got on the phone with a guy, this is back in the days when I'm like crushing it on the phone all the time. This new person joins, I get on the phone, I'm like, yeah, actually his name is Robert. Literally, this is actually hilarious. I swear, did not plan this. I won't divulge his last name, but literally his first name is Robert, which is the long version of Bob. So this is freaking hilarious. I did not plan that, and I don't think I called my guy Bob back then. And actually, I didn't even make it male or female, but I did hit a bunch of the common things. So anyway, they'd go to my page. The whole page was this long written out post, exactly written only to that person. And then I had a video on the page talking exactly to that person. And by the time they got to the bottom, they would join. So I get up the phone talking to this new guy, Robert. It's so fun. I can't believe his name. Because I remember to this day, he's my first guy of those like 18 or so people that came in. And it was crazy. I'm getting chills right now remembering this moment. I remember exactly where I was at when I was in the house. We moved into this one in April 2014. So this is back when we first got into our other house. We'd been there a year or so. And remember exactly where I was in my basement office when I was having this conversation with him. I remember exactly where I was, right around this corner. I remember this like it was like yesterday. And I was like, so yeah, how'd you find my stuff? Because I was like throwing out money in ads, and so we mostly did solo ads and stuff back then. And he was like, well, I was doing this Google search and I found this page. I was like, oh my God, he's one of my Bobs and he freaking joined through this thing. I can't believe it. He's the first person I was aware of that joined through that. And as I got to know him better, he'd already been in network marketing. He'd had a little bit of success, had enrolled some people, but not like some giant leader. He really liked what we were doing and the way that like the methods we were using for that company. Basically, he was the exact person, because I took the time for this, that exact person joined me. And it wasn't once. The reason why it was only one per month or so, because it wasn't a high search term. The term only got like 10 or 20 searches a month. So like it had a good chance to enroll someone who was going to be searching for that kind of a thing. And I do remember also I had the first like 2 or 3 spots in Google for most of that time. And then the algorithms and everything changed. I don't even think my stuff shows up. In fact, that YouTube video I took down shortly after that, which is a main part of that page talking to Bob here, or Robert also. And because I lost my YouTube account and I took everything off. I deleted hundreds and hundreds of videos. Literally one of my videos had about 250,000 views on it and I deleted it. And it's because I thought YouTube was gonna like ban my account forever. Anything to do with MLM or network marketing, I deleted every single video to do with all that, which was one of these things back, this particular video too. So that changed how that page, that may have been what actually made that page stop working a lot. But I do remember a few people enrolled, even the video was like dead just from the words on that page. That's how much it related to them because I'd done this work. So this super long video and all this value and all the buildup and all the stories are to share with you. This freaking works if you do the work and literally take the time to think about these things. And if this worked the very first time for me when I sat down to do it, and I didn't even do it to this detail, not even close. I did like pains and frustrations. I did goals and desires, like just part of this. And this was all like one thing. There wasn't now and later. There wasn't now and later over here. It was all just 2 buckets. What are their fears? What are their pains? What are their dreams? What do they really want? That was it. Like that's the only question. That's the only thinking around it. So here's an example of this. Is this overwhelming? Fine. Freaking delete the entire bottom and just do these 2. Or that's overwhelming because 97% is more wired to avoid this, then only talk to this quadrant right here, only this quadrant right here. It's going to give you a better advantage than what you're doing now. And what happens with your ads, because you can't necessarily find, well, how do I target Bob when I'm doing Facebook ads? You can do like age ranges and things like that, but I don't recommend you go super deep into one exact, like they are only a chief operating officer of a Fortune 500 company. There's like 500 of those. I don't recommend you go that deep with this stuff. I recommend you keep it a little more broad, but in the video you're talking to the Bobs. What happens is all the Bobs raise their hand. They're like, dude, you're talking straight to me. And they follow through on the stuff you're doing. And everybody else who is not a good fit for this, you're just weeding them out. That's all you're doing in marketing anyway. So if you have a high tendency to run around and worry about, do they like me, do they like me, do they like me? Like, I still am working on that, guys, to this day, but it's far different than what it was in 2010 because I became aware of it and I've been actively like, and some of it's just through school of hard knocks and like having to learn it the hard way. But I'm sharing all that because that's the point of marketing. You do your marketing to, it's a sifter, it's a funnel. You're sifting out the people who are not a good fit for you. You're identifying and targeting the people and they're moving on with you to the next step. And then from that, you can even do again, they're moving on to the next step. And so that's really how all marketing works. But it works way, 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 way faster when you're not trying to make the whole freaking world happy. You're going after your perfect avatar, your Bob or Julie or whoever they are. And by the way, if you're more comfortable going after like the opposite sex or like someone a different age or whatever, that's fine. You have to know people very well that fit the demographic. This isn't, I mean, there's some slight guesswork here. This is all like, I'll put it this way. I've spent more time in my life trying to understand what makes us do what we do as humans so I can understand why what I'm driven by, pains and pleasures, and what you're driven by, and I don't care where you're from in the world. I know probably a ridiculous amount about you that you might even think I'm psychic, especially when we meet face to face, and then I can read eye patterns and body language and stuff. I love that stuff. I've spent the majority of my past almost 4 years now. That's been my primary study. And before that, that's been a huge second or third tier study for me behind marketing and leadership and network marketing and stuff. But along this whole journey, there's been thousands and thousands of people that I'm connecting with all the time. And my brain is always what I've really cared about my whole life. Why did that person do this, but this person did this in the same situation? What made them make different choices? And why would I make a different choice altogether? How the heck are we working inside? I'm fascinated by that stuff. So I encourage you to continue to learn why we do the things we do and deeply understand psychology. But I gave you one of the best lessons you could ever have. We are wired to avoid pain and to gain pleasure. And 97% of us, in fact, basically almost everybody, will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. So that's why you have to throw in some of the painful stuff. And it's not fun to talk about, but remind people like, dude, do you want to be at your grave in decades from now looking back wondering why you let your family down and like why this and this and this when you know you could have did way better for them by putting in the freaking work now? And I'm challenging you literally listening to this right now. I'm challenging you to go do the damn work in this, because this is some of the work that so many people skip over. Oh, I don't really need that. If it was that important, Jason would have covered it in the very front part of the video. So it didn't really matter. So this is just one of his rah-rah hype fest. So I'm just going to be moving on and I'm just going to go market the same way I was. That's great. If you're not always learning and growing and adapting, your marketing won't adapt and grow with you. And you will leave those. I don't care if they're making $1 million a year right now. If they're not growing, they're dying. And you can literally outwork them and outgrow them and out pour value to the world. And I've watched it hundreds of times. I've watched people pass me by in the journey. I've watched myself pass people by that used to be my mentors. And it happens when people sit in a comfort zone and don't want to do new work and do things that work really well. So that is your challenge, is go do the work on your perfect customer avatar. Go put some work in. You have questions, ask them down below this video. And I'm more than happy to pour in and help out with all this kind of stuff. But here's what it comes down to. There's not a whole lot that you really will have questions around. Here's what it's going to be around: your doubts and your lack of confidence. This works if you just freaking put in the work, and you can screw up so much of this, but you just put it into work in your ads, you're going to watch magic unfold right from it. So looking forward to seeing your results. Looking forward to hearing about your wins from this. So get out there, go do your work. Let me know how your successes are coming, and we'll see you in a video very soon, my friend. Take care and love you.